Hi, welcome. My name is Orla, and in this channel I read short stories for children and adults who are interested. In this video I will be reading another one from Irish Myths and Legends. A great book. These stories are retold by Joe Potter with fantastic illustrations from Erin Brown. So get cozy, cuddle down, and in this story I'll be reading Setanta Becomes Cuchulainn, another Irish classic. Here we go. Long ago in ancient Ireland there lived a boy named Setanta. He was a demigod, the son of the mighty god Lu himself. Some even say he was the very incarnation of Lu. But greatness ran on both sides of Setanta's family. His uncle, Conor MacNassa, was the mighty king of Ulster. The king lived in a great fort near the town of Armagh at a place called Aonmacca. Conor MacNassa had a troop of boys, the Macra, under his care. He gave the boys a playing field and all the weapons they could desire. The boys were taught to wrestle and run, to train with sword and spear, to play at war as ferociously as they played at their hurling. This was the training ground for the Red Branch Knights, Conor's legendary army. Setanta longed to join the Knights just as he longed to join the Macra. And this is a picture of the Macra boys at the castle. And that's a hurley and a schlitter, the ball. Setanta lived a quiet life with his mother in Dundalk. Quiet except for a repeated question. Mother, please let me join the Macra. Setanta begged for the 1,000th time. I'm the fastest boy in Dundalk and the strongest, and you said yourself, I am the bravest. You're too young, my son, said Setanta's mother with a sigh of exhaustion. But mother, I must join the Macra, otherwise I shall never be a great warrior. A great warrior must first learn patience, my son. Learn that, and you will go. Setanta refrained from asking his mother again for a whole year. One day, when his birthday was near, Setanta's mother asked what he would like as a gift. Setanta took a deep breath and said, Mother, I have grown over the past year and I have learned patience. I would like to join the Macra. Setanta's mother smiled sadly. Her son was still young and she would miss him dearly, but there was a fierce determination burning in his eyes that she could not bear to put out. All right, my son, she said, but a warrior does not need his mother's hand. You must walk there alone. And so Setanta walked alone for many miles across the country from Dundalk to Aonmacca. The journey was long, but Setanta had his hurley and schlitter to pass the time. He would cast the schlitter as far ahead and race to catch it with his hurley before it hit the ground. Again and again he did this, constantly chasing after his schlitter and never missing. Setanta reached Aonmacca in a matter of days, tired but exhilarated. Across the field he saw the rippling flags of his uncle's fort caught high in the breeze. His heart sang. This was where he was meant to be. There you go, that's Setanta playing. And this is the fabulous Setanta arriving at the castle. As Setanta neared the fort, he saw the boys of the Macra playing a game of hurling below the walls. They played ferociously and faster than Setanta had ever seen. All the boys at his old school seemed sluggish and lazy by comparison. But Setanta was no average schoolboy. He was the son of a god. He ran over and caught the ball. This angered the Macra boys. They were furious that Setanta had joined in their game without invitation. They attacked him from all sides, throwing spears at him. Faster than an arrow, Setanta grabbed a shield and caught the spears upon it. In a rage, the boys charged at him. But the young boy was quicker, braver, and more agile than any of them. He fought them off, one by one. The king, who was engaged in a game of chess upstairs, was most angry about the noise. He thrust his head out the window. "What on earth is all the racket about?" he demanded. The boys all stopped fighting immediately and looked to the ground in shame. "Well," said the king. Setanta shouted up at his uncle, "I'm your nephew. I have come from Dundalk to join the Macra." And that's Fionn with the shield. And that's uncle up there shouting at him to be quiet. The king appraised his nephew far beneath him. He squinted. All the boys below appeared dirty and bruised, all apart from Setanta. "Did you fight the whole of my Macra yourself?" "Yes, my king," Setanta said. "Then you are worthy indeed. It would be my honour to have you, nephew." So to Setanta's delight, he joined the famed Macra. He learned their ways and played their games and became the greatest student the Macra had ever known. Setanta loved his life in the Macra, and time passed quickly as contented time does. Not so far from Owen Macha lived a wealthy blacksmith called Cuchulainn, who made swords and spears for the king and his warriors. One day Cuchulainn invited the king and his knights to a grand feast at his house to thank the king for his years of orders. The king and his knights made ready to leave for the house that evening. Just as they were about to depart, the king called for Setanta. Setanta was the bravest boy he had ever met and his greatest pupil. He was very keen to show him off. He found him playing a game of hurling with the other Macra boys. "Setanta, come here," the king yelled. Setanta stopped playing immediately and ran over to his uncle. Right, Setanta and his uncle having a chat. "What service do you require of me, my king?" asked Setanta, bowing. "Rise and come with me to a feast. You are my bravest and fiercest pupil, and I wish to have you at my side tonight." "As you wish, my king. But it would be bad form to leave the game as a player short. May I finish and join you later? I can run very fast." The king agreed and set off with the knights for Cuchulainn's house in merry spirits. Cuchulainn was delighted to see the king and his knights. "My king, how glad I am to see you. Without you I could never have afforded this fine house. Tonight it is yours. Please enter with your knights and make merry." Before the feast was due to begin, Cuchulainn called above the roaring crowd, "My dear men, I must ask if everyone is inside the house, for I must release my hound to guard the house as we eat." This hound was no ordinary hound. He was a beast. It took 3 chains, each held by 3 men, just to hold him. The people of Ulster feared him greatly, and none ever dreamed of robbing Cuchulainn. "Yes," cried the king, "we're all in. Release the beast." But in his drunken state, the king had completely forgotten about his nephew. Setanta had left Owen Macha as soon as his game had finished, but this had left him a clear mile behind the king's party. Setanta hastened to join the king and ran with all his might. As soon as he arrived outside Cuchulainn's house, he heard the dreadful growls of a wolfhound. Suddenly the monstrous hound leapt out of the bushes and advanced on Setanta, his hackles up. Setanta looked around for a weapon to defend himself with, but all he had was his hurley and slitter. The hound was upon him jaws wide. The beast flew at the young boy. Without a second thought, Setanta hurled his slitter down the hound's throat with all his might. Look, as the battle, Setanta and the hound. His aim was true. The ball lodged in the hound's throat so that he choked and could not breathe. All was very quiet, and Setanta let out a sigh of relief. The hound lay dead upon the ground. The feast inside was in full flow, when suddenly the king jumped up. "We've forgotten Setanta!" he yelled in despair. The king and his knights rushed out to Cuchulainn's house. The king looked this way and that, expecting to see the boy torn to pieces. When he saw Setanta standing over the fallen hound, the king gasped in astonishment. "Quite a boy indeed, my nephew. One day you shall make a fine red-branched knight." "No," cried Cuchulainn, who had just seen his hound dead upon the ground. "My hound!" Cuchulainn ran over and knelt by his dog, stroking his head. "I'm very sorry that you had to fight my hound, Setanta, and I'm very glad you're all right. It's just that he was my favourite pet and companion." Setanta looked at the sadness in Cuchulainn's eyes and his heart broke. "I am most sorry, Cuchulainn. I don't know how I can ever make this up to you, Setanta had an idea. "How about this? As I've robbed you of your guard dog, I will be your guard dog until you have reared a new pup." Cuchulainn gladly accepted, for any boy who could defeat his hound was a worthy guard indeed. The king was sad to lose Setanta, but he knew it was for the best. The king laughed. "My greatest student, a guard dog, and a great guard dog you shall make." "All hail Cuchulainn!" the king cried. "Hail Cuchulainn!" the red-branched knights roared. Setanta looked confused. "Uncle, what does Cuchulainn mean?" The king put his hand on Setanta's shoulder. "It means Hound of Cuchulainn." Setanta laughed because he quite liked his new nickname. The king and his knights departed, leaving Setanta to his guard duty. Setanta performed his duties with grace and bravery and became the best guard dog Cuchulainn had ever had, far better than any dog. He went on to perform many great deeds and became the greatest ever warrior of the Red Branch Knights, and ever after Setanta was known as Cuchulainn. And there's Cuchulainn, looking mighty fine. There you go. That's it. Another great story from Irish Myths and Legends. Till the next one. Bye bye.